FUD concerning EVs is everywhere. FUD, of course, meaning fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and the purveyors of this misinformation can make a whole lot of money, perhaps on the back end, perhaps by being sponsored by one or more petroleum institutes or companies, but just as easily and just as likely, it could happen by attracting hordes of idiots who just love what they have to say. Confirmation bias at its finest. Well, I was sent a video by a viewer from a channel I had not heard of, M-Guy Australia. Yes, he is a real clown. This guy loves to say things that are flat untrue, and we're going to get into just an example of how mind-bogglingly dumb people like this genuinely think that you are. I'm Brian. Welcome to Futuraza. So before we get into it, I should mention that, oh, Brian, he's on one side of the spectrum and you're on the other. You're both extremists. No, the difference is I deal in facts. It's unfortunate that the facts that I have disagree with the lies that he has. So who is this? What are we talking about? I'm not going to link him because to heck with this guy. 11 reasons why the EV transition will never happen. Oh, and his whole channel's like this. He's a British fella living in Australia. I don't know what you call those, blokes, plonkers, something like that. But anyway, I'm going to just, rather than show any part of the video, because he might just copyright strike it or something like that, I'm going to read some of his 10 amazing points. Number 1, EVs don't reduce oil use. They don't. Yeah, ignoring the fact that the fantasy policy of net zero fails to appreciate that oil is used for thousands of products that we rely on in our daily lives. Banning combustion cars will make virtually zero difference to global energy consumption. Friggin' what? If that were the case, half the world's vehicles were electrically propelled, which is a goal that's functionally impossible. 50% adoption is impossible? My friend, we're already at like 20% globally, but okay. It's impossible. In the foreseeable future, all that would do is reduce oil consumption by maybe 10%. What? What? Yes, oil is used for a whole bunch of different products. It's in a bunch of things. But that means, to me, at least, that burning it is probably the dumbest thing you can do with it. Let's take a look at that 10% claim. Nope, 67% is for transportation. 67% of petroleum is used in transportation. 67%. You were off, my friend. You were off by quite a bit. Very embarrassing. And this is not like radical information. In the US, it's about 44% of the oil we produce goes into automobiles and transportation of other forms, diesel and gasoline. But globally, apparently, it's more like 67%. But even if it's just 44%, you're still off by 4.5x. That's a big miss, my friend. Number 2, EVs don't reduce CO2 emissions. This is why we're being forced into driving EVs, according to our governments. Right. I'm going to give this one the least time of all because my brother in Christ, it has been debunked over and over endlessly. It doesn't work that way. It is absolutely true that an EV over its lifespan will greatly reduce the amount of CO2 produced. If we go back to his nonsense rambling, he says, yeah, the CO2 emissions, it's only a small part of it. And, that's crazy. It's crazy. So least time getting on to number 3, the mining for EVs emits more CO2 than they save. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. That's ridiculous. The same studies look at the lifetime CO2 emissions, and they do so very generously because they don't count all of the refining that goes into a gas car. They just count the amount of gas it actually spews, the part that you actually burn that comes out your tailpipe. If you included all of the mining and refining, you think somehow that this is ridiculous. The car that you're building, once you're done building it, you're done with the mining. Really, you're really done. Now you could add some solar panels or whatnot, but that's very little mining compared to the awful lot of oil that you will be refining to pour into your tank to set ablaze. Yeah, the mining is just so bad. And he repeated this really popular one that it takes 500,000 pounds of rock per car to make the lithium for the battery. 500,000 pounds. My guy, do the back of the napkin math. That is a number that should give you pause, because it's so breathtakingly dishonest that I don't understand how anyone could take it seriously. 500,000 pounds of rock. You really think it takes 500,000 pounds of rock to make one EV? Oof. Number 4, EVs are just as complex as combustion cars. Biggest lie spun by proponents is that they're simpler. They are simpler. They are simpler. They have their own kind of complexity. It's a different kind of complexity. But yes, they absolutely do have it. They are complex in their own way. But that way is very different. It's very different. Moving parts is what we're talking about. They have far fewer moving parts. Moving parts wear out. That's the big difference. We're seeing batteries lasting way beyond what the manufacturers expected. That's why recycling has been so slow to come online. Number 5, there are not enough minerals being mined. This is where things get interesting. You just heard the 500,000 pound figure, and yeah, we did. That's why we thought it was crazy that you brought it up, my guy. So dumb. Well, there's not enough minerals. Today there aren't, no. But there are enough minerals today to expand 10, 20, 30% next year and the year after and the year after that as the mineral supply chain comes online. That's how mining works. Don't want to spoil it. Number 6, EVs will get more expensive, not cheaper. The result of the demand for minerals and metals exceeding many times over the amount produced. Oh my gosh. So don't buy an EV because they might get more expensive. My friend, if anything, that's an argument in favor of buying one. Think of all that resale value you will have. Number 7, EV charging infrastructure is expensive and complex. Does your house not have power, my guy? Does it not have power? Is that what's going on? You're missing that part of it? No, it's actually quite simple. A public charger costs less to build than a gas station. Crazy. And getting the power there is cheaper than moving tankers of gasoline there. Whoa, weird. So weird, my guy. Genuinely stupid. You have power in your house. I know you do. You have a studio. I can see the lights are on. Well, the literal ones, the metaphorical ones, maybe not. Number 8, EVs will always be in a minority. I've said that there's limited use cases for EVs. Well, for those with off-street parking and the ability to charge and reduce pollution in city centers. But for most people, they don't make sense. Dumb. Very dumb. Yeah, they'll always be in the minority. Okay. Not true in many countries already, and that number will continue to grow. So I don't know what to tell you. Number 9, it's not about reducing emissions. There are many other ways you could reduce emissions that don't require a blanket EV mandate. Well, great. If you don't care about reducing emissions, that's fine. You don't have to believe in the mission. You don't have to believe in climate change, but it does reduce them. If that is something you care about, that's the way to do it. You're being ridiculous. You're trying to say that EVs won't work because you think that they have more emissions or equal emissions. They don't. That's undeniable. That's a fact. You dingus. I don't know. Somebody in the comments, get me some better phrases to describe this guy that won't result in a lawsuit or demonetization. Yeah, I don't need the video flagged. My guy. And he knows he's lying. That's the worst part. He knows he's lying. It's just very profitable for him to do so. He's creeping up on 100,000 subscribers. He's making good money saying breathtakingly stupid things to people who he doesn't have a very high opinion of. If someone tells you these 10 things with a straight face, they think you're an idiot. Number 10, the goal is to take away your car. For the real reason for all this isn't about saving the planet. It's about taking away your freedom. Where do we start with this guy? Oh my gosh, this is great. I love it. It's genuinely breathtakingly stupid. You know, he even started by saying, let me find it here, because I grabbed a transcript of this, because uh, most, uh, the depreciation is just one of the issues you have to face. My guy, you just said that your point, I think 6 or 7, was that they're going to get more valuable, that that because of scarcity, EV costs are going to just keep going up. My guy, very dumb. We will take a quick look at his channel to see what kind of guy my guy is. My guy, no EVs, fire at the turbine. Let's look at some of his greatest hits here. This is the scariest thing about EV batteries. Huge problem with EV charging stations that no one mentions. I'm not clicking on it. Leaked internal memoir. Let's see. Freezing weather leaves dozens of dead EVs. Dozens. Yeah, 5 fundamental misconceptions. Look at that, 191,000 views on this video. I don't have any videos with that many views because lies can, they're so salacious and tasty and irresistible. My guy, you are what I can only describe as a bad person. Yeah, because you have to know that you are telling lies and that you are being a bad person and that you're harming the world in which our children live. Not that you and I have children together, although we might, I don't know. But if we did, I have children. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're the kind of guy who doesn't have children. I don't know. Nothing wrong with that. But it would explain your breathtakingly selfish views on the world. Yeah. So what did I miss? What did I misunderstand? How much do you love channels like that are just eager to spoon feed you these ridiculous absurdities for no good reason whatsoever? I did leave a link to all of the citations that I provided in the description. You can check those out. If you want to be smarter than literally anyone who subscribes to that guy. And of course, you can subscribe to me. Be awesome. Check it out. Try it. Why not? It's free.